When we talk about rap music, what's the first name that comes to your mind? Tupac, Eminem, Dr. Dre, or Snoop Dogg? There's no debating Eminem and Snoop Dogg are two of the most famous rappers of all time. And in this video, we'll check out how their long-standing feud, or beef as they call it in the rap world, finally came to an end. First things first, how did it all start? It all started when Snoop Dogg appeared on one of Eminem's songs, Bitch Please 2, from the album The Marshall Mathers LP. The song featured Snoop Dogg, Exhibit, Nate Dogg, and Dr. Dre. Eminem recently appeared in a SiriusXM podcast series, Paul Pod Curtain Call 2, which is hosted by Paul Rosenberg. Rosenberg is also Eminem's manager, and the two have been closely linked since 1997. While talking to Rosenberg, the megastar recalled the events that led to his beef with Snoop Dogg. He mentioned after appearing on his song, Bitch Please 2, Snoop was keen on collaborating with him on one of Snoop's own songs. Snoop mentioned the idea to Paul Rosenberg, who gave back a response somewhere along the lines of, well, let's hear what the song is first, let's see what the type of song is. According to Eminem, that response gave Snoop Dogg an impression that maybe Eminem wasn't quite open to the idea of working with him. Eminem also clarified this was obviously not the case, and the superstar had always been an admirer of Snoop Dogg's work. What was Paul Rosenberg's version of the events? Rosenberg recalls the events but mentions he's unable to remember what exactly happened. However, he did remember Snoop was interested in Eminem doing something for Snoop's record back then as sort of a return for him appearing on Bitch Please 2. Rosenberg said he doesn't even remember talking to Snoop Dogg directly. It was probably something he mentioned to someone on Snoop's team. He mentioned he may have said it in a different way to what was eventually passed on to Snoop Dogg. Rosenberg said his words may have been communicated to Snoop Dogg in a way that didn't go down too well with him, and he ended up thinking maybe Eminem isn't quite interested in working with him, and that was obviously not the case, Rosenberg clarified again. Moving on to what Snoop Dogg was saying in the media. The feud between Eminem and Snoop Dogg really came up to a boiling point when Snoop Dogg mentioned in an appearance on The Breakfast Club that he did not consider Eminem to be in the list of top 10 rappers of all time. Snoop Dogg started off by talking about Dr. Dre's journey from N.W.A. to founding Death Row Records, becoming the dopest producer in hip-hop. He went on to praise Dr. Dre further by mentioning how Dre has discovered numerous talented rappers across the U.S. and also referred to Eminem as one of his discoveries. The famous rapper mentioned Eminem's name constantly comes into discussion when talking about the top rap stars and lyricists in the world because of his association with Dre and not because of his own ability. He mentioned that Dr. Dre probably put Eminem in that position. When asked to further elaborate his stance, Snoop Dogg mentioned there were some famous names from back in the 80s who Eminem just can't compete with. He went on to mention that rappers like Rakim, Ice Cube, or Big Daddy Kane were all in a different league to Eminem. While maintaining his opinion, Snoop Dogg clarified he doesn't have anything against Eminem, and he's still like one of his teammates and brothers. How would the rap megastar that we all know respond to such a diss from a fellow rapper? Yes, you know it. In 2020, Eminem responded by releasing his track Zeus, in which he expressed his sentiments. The exact lyrics are obviously different, but what they basically meant was, I'm used to people trying to knock me down, it doesn't bother me, and just trying to be diplomatic. The exact line from his song goes something like, last thing I need is Snoop Dogg and me, man dog, you was like to me. Man, not really. I had dog backwards. And this alone is enough to give you an idea of how heated things actually got between the two of them. The famous Without Me rapper also accepted in December of 2020 that he did feel quite disrespected by Snoop Dogg's comments and that he has no problem in accepting Dr. Dre's substantial contribution towards his career. However, he believed Snoop Dogg went a little too far with his comments. What triggered an end to the long-standing feud? It often takes a traumatic event to bring an end to an age-old squabble. In tragedy, people often tend to reevaluate and reflect on their life choices, and that's what it took for these two to finally bury the hatchet. In January of 2021, Dr. Dre, who was close to both Eminem and Snoop Dogg, suffered from a brain aneurysm out of the blue. He ended up being hospitalized in critical condition. Dre has always commanded a lot of respect among the artists in the music industry, more specifically the rap and hip-hop industry. So the news sent the whole industry into shock, and all the artists started sending their messages of love and support. Eminem, in his recent appearance on Paul Rosenberg's podcast, mentioned the event was quite traumatic for him on a personal level, and that's what triggered him into finally deciding to reconcile with fellow rapper Snoop Dogg. He said he doesn't quite remember who called who first, but the event did get us thinking how stupid our little feud was and how it would be highly inappropriate to keep going in a time like that. Eminem later stated he cleared things up with Snoop Dogg and told him how he looked up to his music, mentioning Snoop's very first album, Doggy Style, actually changed his life. Reconciliation and then later collaboration. After finally putting an end to their feud, Eminem and Snoop Dogg went on to perform together on more than one occasion. The two even performed the song together recently at the MTV Music Awards, and this is not even their first appearance together in 2022. Eminem and Snoop Dogg, alongside Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and 50 Cent, also performed at the prestigious 2022 Super Bowl halftime show earlier this year in February. The performance won them the Outstanding Variety Special Live Award as well as the 2022 Emmy Awards. And with the performances we've seen in just this last year, I would say that it's way better to live in a world where Snoop Dogg and Eminem are on good terms. Keep the performances coming, guys. And now on to some other related news. Before we leave you guys for today, let's take a look at some other hot news. Daughter Haley Jade gets bothered when people keep asking about her famous dad. Eminem's 26-year-old daughter Haley Jade recently started doing her own podcast where she hosted an Ask Me Anything episode. After getting too many questions around her relationship with her dad, she was asked if it bothers her to be constantly questioned on the topic, to which she replied that it's understandable why people would be curious about certain things having grown up in such a spotlight. However, she mentioned there needs to be a balance. After a certain point, people need to realize that I'm a person of my own too and not just Eminem's daughter. Rappers like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Big Sean keep me going, says Eminem. I'm not the best rapper around, says Eminem. He may be the most successful rapper in history, having sold over 200 million records around the world, but he has no problem admitting there are some new stars in the hip-hop scene who are doing some great work. Talking to XXL in a recent interview, Eminem mentioned his aim in today's hip-hop scene is to be the best rapper in the world. That aim hasn't changed ever since he became a rapper. The rapper told XXL this is what he feels inside and this is what he wants to feel inside. He mentioned he doesn't necessarily focus on the numbers and being on charts, rather he focuses on what the rap stars of today like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole are putting out, because they're also focused on being the best rappers, he says. He said the work these rappers are doing is what keeps him motivated to keep coming back for more. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for being with us. Let us know in the comments section which of the Eminem and Snoop Dogg collaborations you loved the most. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for all the latest news in town, and we'll see you in the next video.